Hello everyone, it's Tachyon Lance with a guide through Stellaris from 2015 to 2023 and if you should buy this game now. Stellaris has come a long way since those days back in 2015. Stellaris was released to much fanfare. It was Paradox's first foray into the sci-fi genre and space strategy or 4X game. I was extremely hyped for Stellaris on release. Finally, a space game with exploration, expansion, conquest, diplomacy in a sandbox mode where every game would be different, random, rather than your typically scripted storylines with limited replayability. Stellaris turned out to be good or just okay on launch. It had so much potential. It had the framework of a great game but lacked a lot of the detail and game features you would expect in a space strategy game. The early game was fantastic, exploring new systems, planets, and finding anomalies and bumping into new species, hostile empires. However, once you were past those early years and into the mid-game, it became a grind with not a lot to do. The game seemed empty. Even the endgame, which had the fallen empires and endgame crises, but that was a long time to wait for some good content. Over time, events like the War in Heaven were added, which is framed as a battle between gods, as fallen empires awaken to bring destruction to the galaxy in a galactic-wide war. Or the mid-game crisis in the form of the Khan, a marauder empire, which is pirates, which unites its various factions to form one powerful faction and begins to rapidly conquer everyone around them. These features were added to the game to provide more content in the early years, but it still lacked a lot for players to do with managing their empires in gameplay. Here are some early screenshots of what the galaxy map looked like. Very basic to today's standard, and the UI is now much more filled out with far more details due to all the extra content available today. An old planet view with the old tile system for planets. Thank God they replaced that with the current economic model. The tile system worked okay, but was very basic. It did not feel like a Paradox game, more like Civilization but simpler. We even had 3 forms for faster than light travel: warp drives, jump drives, and hyperlanes, which we currently have. So you have 3 different forms of FTL, which was very unique for any space game. However, it led to endless wars as fleets chased each other, playing whack-a-mole using the different FTL types to constantly avoid combat. Enemy fleets would simply jump into the core of your empire, bypass defences. It was very annoying. Over time, the developers realised this error and focused only on hyperlanes, which allowed choke points and galactic geography to be used to your advantage. Finally, some strategy was coming into a supposedly strategy game. Now you could plan to defend key choke points. Great fortress worlds with larger armies could be built, powerful defensive star bases with defensive platforms to hold off large fleets. Megastructures were a great addition to the game. They added a lot of endgame content and you had to spend vast sums of resources to build these huge structures, which provided massive benefits to your empire, which could make or break your game. You would plan entire wars around seizing one key megastructure or a system you needed to build one, such as the matter decompressor, which needed a black hole system. If you didn't have one, you would need to acquire one or miss out on being able to build this megastructure. Other mid to end game content like the L cluster and L gates were added, which provided a cluster of stars external to the galaxy to be explored and discover what dangers or riches lied beyond the galaxy edge. Controlling L gates would give you the ability to travel huge distances across the galaxy in an instant, providing huge tactical advantage if you could control it. But everyone else wants it as well, so you better be prepared to defend it. Leviathans add massive space creatures, structures, and monsters to the game. It would take powerful fleets to deal with these challenges. They would also provide some unique benefits for the mid-game, along with smaller space fauna, which can really limit your early game expansion and exploration unless you are very careful. Losing an early science ship and scientists can be very costly. Diplomacy was expanded with the addition of federations, which were large alliances, so smaller empires could band together to form powerful coalitions to fight the more powerful empires of the galaxy. Vassals and tributaries were a way for empires who did not want to talk but wanted to conquer and dominate via strength of their fleets and armies. Could you hold together a galaxy-spanning empire of vassals as other empires tried to undermine you and support wars of independence against you so that you may have to fight a large rebellion of your vassal states? Espionage was a late addition to Stellaris, long overdue. Added more options to be able to gain intelligence on your empires. No longer could you just see all their details, fleet strength, economic size, and how advanced they were. Now you would need your spies to find this information. With enough intel, you could even see an enemy's ship design, so you could design a perfect counter. Stealing technologies, sabotage, and framing other empires, even stealing powerful relics gained through events during the game was now possible, and these could also lead to war as other empires wanted to regain their relics. You could even declare war as a cause belli to gain certain relics if you coveted them. The game was becoming ever more complex and detailed. Planet management and its automation was a good feature for large sprawling empires. It works okay, not great, but enough so that you don't have to manage 100 worlds if you don't want to. Just manage your core 15 to 20 and let the AI do the rest. I really enjoy the micro, so I like to sit there and I'll micro over 100 planets. I enjoy it. I try to get the most out of my empire and try and squeeze every little ounce of resource out of it. But if you don't like it, you don't have to. You can automate as much or as little as you like. Install massive planet-wide cities in the form of econopolises or machine worlds or hive worlds were all introduced to the game. It's possible to have hundreds of populations on one planet, even thousands with certain types of buildings, planets. Where Stellaris really shines is in its empire creation. There are just so many civics, traits, origins, species, governments that you can literally have hundreds or thousands of possible combinations. It is truly mind-blowing what you can create. Stellaris offers so much potential to create a role play for your favourite sci-fi species or empires and go into a random galaxy and see if you can survive. From one planet with a handful of pot to 200 years later having an empire that spans the galaxy with fleets of thousands of ships and millions of fleet power, trying to defeat the endgame crises that can have well over 100 million fleet power on the highest difficulty levels. Epic galaxy-spanning wars with so many ships that even the most powerful PCs at times can struggle. Improvements that let the game down currently are a lack of being able to scale up the difficulty of fallen empires or the Khan mid-game crisis. Often once you have learned how to play the game, these empires can seem easy to beat by the time they trigger their events. Playing on higher difficulty levels, like Grand Admiral, should trigger similar increases in difficulty for these events. Normal AI empires get huge bonuses, which allows them to field large fleets by the time these events trigger. So even the AI by itself can normally handle the now awakened empires or Khan with ease. It is not often I see much of a challenge anymore from these events. It is a gaping hole and Paradox need to address it. Pirates are also rather annoying. In the early to mid game, they serve a purpose in forcing you to deal with them or build up some defences or counters to them. By the late game, however, having to constantly deal with a 5-6k enemy fleet when I have 50 fleets of 300k each becomes tedious and unnecessary. When I have millions of fleet power, why send such small fleets into the game? Either make pirates a true threat for the end game and scale them up in power massively, or get rid of them. They serve no purpose in the late game other than being a rather annoying distraction. I really hate the micromanagement of ground armies and trying to build them. They until recently could only be built on planets, and you would need to click on each planet to build armies. You might need dozens or hundreds of new armies to take heavily defended worlds. Now we can also build them from space stations, but why not have something like the Fleet Manager that can build fleets of ships from all available shipyards? Do this for armies, so one large army or multiple armies can be built from all available planets or stations on the one screen and with a few clicks of a button. Despite these flaws, the game is great and at times can now seem overwhelming in its detail and complexity. With the amount of content that has been added over the past 7 to 8 years, Paradox are renowned for supporting their games, providing constant updates, patches and expansions, of which Stellaris has had many, with another update happening in a matter of days to version 3.9. It can be expensive to get many of the expansions, species packs and constant updates, but I would start with the major expansions and work your way down to the species packs. Keep a lookout for specials from various platforms. They often go on sale and you can buy in bulk for much cheaper prices when this happens. Stellaris has a massive mod community that provides nearly anything you're looking for. Want to play the Star Wars universe? You can. Prefer Star Trek? Well, there are some award-winning mods for that as well. They won't disappoint. Stellaris is now the game it should always have been. It has lived up to its expectations. It has taken time, but it has been the standout 4X space strategy game for many years, and I have played most of the challenges out there, but still none compare to the scope and grandeur of Stellaris. If you've enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. It will help me with the algorithm and to help this video get seen by more people. Thank you for watching. Tune in next time for another video. Bye for now.